what women wear and how they dress and how they do their makeup, their hair, and how they comport themselves sends a message out to the world. Today, I'm talking with Jennifer Cross of Fascinating Womanhood Classes about the message that women send through their clothing and how that message affects how people view them and treat them in the world. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, Noah. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
So
Thanks
I
for
know this
having
is
me
a
on again.
topic you're really fascinated that you really enjoy talking about.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love it. It's so fun.
You're definitely the expert on women's clothing here. So
Well, thank you for letting me talk about it. It's my favorite thing, and most people who love fascinating womanhood love the femininity chapter. And I would say most women, when they really embrace their femininity, and what we're teaching now is to reclaim it, um, feel so much better when they're moving within their feminine power and their feminine energy. And that has everything to do with appearance. So, along with your feminine nature, your feminine dependency, and along with a whole bunch of other things, but today we're talking about appearance.
yeah, absolutely. So you sent me earlier several images, and the
Hmm.
images show women dressed in various ways, and there's certain things we can learn from these images. Now, what I'm going to do is the images are going to appear for the viewer for just a couple of seconds, and then we'll cut back to the interview again. And that'll
Great,
be the image we're talking about. You can always go back and pause it if you want to see the image longer.
great.
So where would you like to start?
Well, let's start with when I do the presentation on femininity, I start with this photo of an extremely feminine woman. She's got dark hair in a beautiful long style, but it's up. And she's carrying the pink roses, and
Hmm.
she's in a white and pink top. So does that
Yeah, it
describe
almost
it enough?
looks like a wedding dress.
Yes, yes. And she has a very, what I call a demure look, and it's fascinating photo. I don't care if you're male or female, you will find this woman fascinating in this photo. And there is nothing masculine about it, but even if you remove the flowers, if you put her in a t-shirt, she would be feminine. And
Hmm.
that's what we're talking about. And so some women think the only way they can be feminine is to be super frilly, and her style in this photo, it's a romantic style. I love that style of clothing. And but you may be a more classic beauty, more like a Jackie O, real clean lines. My daughter is sporty, so she has a sportier look. I know some women are jeans only, and they're very feminine. They, it's a certain kind of jeans and t-shirt. It's not, your husband's jeans and t-shirts with holes and stains and things like that. Um, so you can do all femininity, and feminine dress can can look different on every woman, and a lot of it just has to do with what's coming from within. So let's just keep talking because I think there are some. Let me check my photos here. Can I go into the next one? Am I allowed to do that? Because
Yeah,
the next
go ahead.
one, I think I have this photo. Oh no, I don't, because it's in the feminine nature. We'll just stay on this one. Okay. Look in her eyes. You know what she's thinking. Even if you didn't see her mouth or nose and it was just her eyes, you would know how she's feeling. You could see her confidence. And she's a fantastic model. Who knows what she's doing? But truly, if it's authentic beauty, you can see that she feels beautiful.
Yeah, and
And
what
that,
I like you were mentioning the posture of the demure look, and if you want to contrast that, imagine the Clint Eastwood squinting his eyes and having kind of a squinty, fierce look in just before there's some sort of a gunfight. So he's trying to look super masculine to intimidate the other characters in the show. So if you were to take a look at the two photos side by side, that would help you to understand the difference between the look of femininity, the openness, the accepting, soft look of femininity, and the hard, determining, intimidating
masculine, yeah,
masculine.
it's so true. And in one of my classes, I do actually have it's a construction worker next to this ultra feminine woman, and it's so striking. And that's what we're talking about. everything about femininity is about learning to accentuate the differences. So in any way that you feel comfortable doing that, if I'm talking to a woman who is not ready to reclaim her femininity or be even put on a dress, that's fine. It has nothing to do with wearing a dress. I've seen women wear dresses and some of them do not look feminine at all in that skirt or dress. It has really nothing to do with that. It has to come from within. That's why coaching, Noah, as you know, as a coach, is so important. We can teach about how everybody knows how to dress pretty, right? Or in a handsome way. But if you don't know how to wear that, you can't pull it off.
Well, first, I think it has a lot to do with how comfortable you are with yourself.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, there are a lot of women who are internally conflicted because they behave in a masculine manner, but they are feminine. That is their biological nature. It's impossible to escape that.
Yeah.
And it causes a conflict in them, and this conflict is what's unattractive. When men behave in masculine ways and they don't feel conflicted about their masculinity and they embrace it, then they immediately start to look better. They start to act better. They act more positively. There's in Stoic philosophy, they talk about that a lot of unhappiness it comes from trying to control things we can't control while we ignore the things we can control. Now, we have a nature to us. If you're a man, you have one nature. A woman has another nature. And if we live according to those natural laws, we're going to be happier. And if we break natural law, there will be consequences. We'll be unhappy. And that happiness, like she looks tremendously happy in this photo. She looks joyful. I'd even say not just happy, but joyful. She's enjoying the flowers. She's enjoying her clothes. She's enjoying her hair. She's enjoying being a beautiful, young, feminine woman.
Mm-hmm. And what I love too is that we can enjoy it. So the other thing that women need to understand is we have a responsibility to our homes, to our husbands, and to the world to bring beauty into the room. Yeah, I'm going to say that. I went there. It is part of feminine nature. It is a gift that we give the world is our beauty. All women are beautiful. I really believe that. And when you see a not beautiful woman, she's hiding it, or she's extremely unhealthy, or she's extremely sad, depressed, and abused, and beaten down. I just think that the nature of womanhood is beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it's almost they're hiding.
I was taught to hide it. I was afraid of it. I was taught to hide it, and I don't know. When I was younger, teenager, I hardly ate, so I could be super thin, so I wouldn't have a womanly body, and I could wear boys' jeans and be like the feminist taught me to be, which was not feminine. That was weakness. That was bad.
Yeah.
So that's what when we teach that, women become just so happy because they can finally have this fun side of themselves.
Well, because you're telling them the truth. The problem is that feminism, it sold them on a lie.
Oh, yeah.
Lies always lead to unhappiness. They always lead to, if you watch, for example, the Disney fairy tales and the magic always has a cost. Well, the magic is a euphemism for lies, for lying. And by using words, which is what the magic usually is, you lie to try to create an unnatural condition. And that unnatural condition always has a cost. And so lying has a long-term cost. About half of US women are on psychotropic drugs. So drugs that alter your mind, your brain chemistry, and change how you think. And this is because they're depressed. They're not happy, trying to hide their femininity and trying to act as if they were men. And we need to tell them the truth because they can become much happier than they are if they apply the truth in their life.
And they'll be more successful even in the work environment. Masculinity does not work on women. And why be a second-class man when you can be a first-rate woman? And that will work way more powerfully for you than any other kind of energy. But Dixie Andelin Forsyth, who I work for, studied feminine power. There's no definition of it. And they're only talking about masculine power, which they only talk about toxic masculinity now, which is a farce. But we need to talk about the power of feminine energy and feminine influence, which is really what we want to teach now, is this influence that you have over the room when you walk in it as a feminine woman. Which the other thing I have to teach, Noah, and you probably do too, when women step into their femininity and they decide to live their more feminine role in life and dress the part, that even women will be the worst towards you. Men will change completely towards you and treat you. I mean, I was treated with so much more respect and honor and care and from men since making this change than before. But I've had negative results from all the women in my life.
Well, if you think
Except,
about it,
except the ones who get fascinating women.
if you think about it, now I have noticed this. If you have a group of men, let's say you got 5 or 6 men together, and one of the men has some deficiency. Let's say maybe he's starting to get a little round around the middle, and his friends say to him, they poke his belly and they'll go, you're getting to be the fat one in the group, and maybe you need to lose some weight. And he'll look down at his belly and he'll go, you're right. You're right. I probably should lose some weight. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, this is because men enjoy competition by nature.
Yeah.
And we enjoy when a friendly force points out that we're uncompetitive in an area so that we can improve and continue that fun of competition. We don't even if we lose, we enjoy the competition, but we want competition. With women, they don't tend to enjoy that competition very much. In fact, it masculinizes them. And so what happens with groups of women is if they're all relatively the same level, it's okay. And when one starts to rise above that, now she gets all the attention, and the women are no longer having an even amount of attention, and jealousy arises.
Yes.
Generally, jealousy is always represented in the feminine, very rarely in the masculine. Men, instead of being jealous of a superior man, we want to copy him, see what we can do to be like him.
Yeah.
And I think this is deeply unfortunate. It makes it hard for women to have lasting relationships because they feel they can't improve without losing their friends. They feel they can't.
So true. Noah, we need to do a whole talk just on that.
Yeah.
Because this has been my life experience. And being, made to feel bad because I didn't always want to wear jeans in high school. And almost like I was putting pressure, I felt like I was putting pressure on other women, and I was just being myself, but they took it as me trying to be better than them. Yeah. So it was very hard to develop friendships. So I finally gravitated towards very high quality women that weren't threatened and would compliment me and help me to be my better self.
And for women that want to make this change and want to get more in touch with their femininity, if they're married, they should put more focus on pleasing their husband than their female friends. It's very important to make the marriage work. And this is a big part of what will make it easy to make that change. And like you mentioned, it may cause a friendship change.
Oh, yeah.
Someone likened it to crossing the desert. So they said it's like you're going across a desert and you have to leave the low quality friends behind, change across the desert, and come out on the other side with better quality friends. Yeah. And you're going to have to go through that process if you want to change who you are, if you want to improve who you are. Mm-hmm. Ideally, you could tell your friends, hey, come with me on this voyage. But it's probably not going to happen. And if it does happen, it'll happen simply from you going on the voyage and them saying, hey, I want to join. They'll let you know if they want to join. In the meantime, you might lose friends. It's how it is.
Yeah, you will lose friends. I have lost friends, and it's tragic to me. It's so sad. But there's nothing I respect more than my clients and my students who come to me and they in their sweats and their dark clothing and they're sad and depressed, and they blossom into these beautiful young women who are getting engagement rings, and whether or just happier with their life overall, with hope for the future. There's nothing better than that's who I want to hang out with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, it's a very small circle.
Yeah.
But all right, so we should go to the next photo, maybe.
Sure. Which one's next?
We talked about there's 4 ways to be feminine, in appearance, manner, nature, and in your role. And I know right now we're talking about appearance only. So I don't know, Noah, if you see the photo of the very romantic feminine woman with the flowers to the left of her, and she's looks like a 1920s photo.
Oh yes, yes.
So that's just a one, you might want to flash it up there, just an indication of it's a different form of femininity than the more modern look we just saw, very romantic and soft and sweet and innocent. So there's, we're going to go to the next photo. It's got, did I share with you the three photos? The woman languishing on the park bench who looks like a man.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. I have that one.
With the photo of also I think it's a woman from behind who's in a store with a crossbody bag. It's in that grouping of photos. There's no, you don't see that. Okay, so let's just talk about the woman on the bench. So flash that photo up. The woman on the bench that is actually a very beautiful woman. If she would have dressed in a beautiful feminine dress or even more feminine top and t-shirt, wow, she would have been strikingly beautiful. She has very short hair, and that was one of the examples I wanted to give encouragement. Some women can't grow their hair long. They don't want to wear falls. They don't want to wear wigs. They like short hair. Short hair can be very feminine. A lot of men like their wives and girlfriends in short hair. So find out what he likes and that fits you and suits your face shape and style. That's really important.
Audrey Hepburn was beautiful and feminine, and she had a pixie cut virtually the entire time that she was on Popular. And she was extremely feminine.
One of our most feminine periods of the time was the 40s and 50s, and the 50s the hair was short and into the 60s too, and very classic. I like Grace Kelly. I love that look. I grew up our hair was always short. My mom thought that long hair was not classy. I don't know why, but she just did. So we all always had short hair. But anyway, so this woman very feminine.
The girl on the bench, her posture.
Oh, the languishing, she's sitting like a man who doesn't care. It would be a very masculine pose on a man, actually.
Yeah.
But on her, it just doesn't work. It makes me sad when I see this photo that they did this to this beautiful woman, because it is totally a model, right? And this new androgynous look that's coming out. So that's what it's all about here in this photo, androgyny. And what a shame. She's not bringing any joy into that space at all. Any of her beauty.
Her clothes don't fit her properly.
No.
Those pants don't fit right. The shirt doesn't fit right. Even the jacket doesn't fit. None of it fits correctly.
Well, because she has a female body, and those are man's clothing.
Exactly.
So masculine cut clothing, masculine shoes. So very sad. I felt very sad when I see that photo. But and then to the right, in my photo, I see my the two examples of the two women. One dressed in a really cute sailor dress, super sweet, hair and expression on her face. Very happy, very joy. You can see she's joyful, very childlike. So and I don't want to say childlikeness. If you're in Fascinating Womanhood, we're not talking about being childish. We're talking about childlikeness and girlishness, which people need your light, girlish fun in life. And I feel like, isn't that true?
Energy. It's a kind of youthful energy.
Youthful energy.
It's not that we don't appreciate the elders amongst us, but everyone loves youth. And we love that childness, the openness, especially with, men and women. Nothing drives women more crazy than a man who could be boyishly charming.
Well, what my husband does that secretly, he had no idea, drives me crazy. He could get away with murder. He wears his baseball cap on backwards, forget it. And that's how I know girlishness works, because his boyishness changes my mood in an instant.
Yeah. And it's a great way also for diffusing trouble between couples.
That's the best part about it.
It's hard to be angry at cute people.
Yes, it is.
My son, he will do that too, if he does something and then he realizes it wasn't something he was supposed to do, he'll put on a cute face and go, oops, I did such and such a thing. And and it's the cutest thing ever. And how could you possibly be upset at it?
Exactly. It's so true. And we want to be okay with that. And because in Helen Andelin's book, the classic version, the feminists just hated childishness and, what are we doing teaching women to be like children? And no, it's not like children at all. It's not childish. It's girlish and it's fun and it's so easy. It's so much a part of the feminine character, but also masculine. And children are like this, and we love children. Well, who wouldn't want to be? Women want to innately be loved, cherished, and adored by the man of their dreams.
Well,
And so,
the word adorable comes from adore, which is Latin for worship.
Oh, I love it.
And so it's when we find someone adorable or cute, you could say cute or adorable, we almost worship it. We absolutely love it. They actually say that adore or cuteness short circuits adult brains and causes us to lose sense and reasoning.
Melt.
Yeah,
I feel like I melt when I have like my cat sometimes does cute things and it makes me just. His name is Romeo, and I just makes me crazy. Anyway, so we have this photo, but right next to her is this woman dressed in very masculine again, masculine face, everything about her outfit again, masculine, and it's the energy is weird. I mean, I think it's just a weird, off-putting photo because it's almost like two very similar-looking women trying to pull off. And it just exemplifies what you're saying about the fact that women cannot pull off masculine energy.
Yeah.
In a positive way. When you look at the woman in the masculine clothing, she's attractive very much, but it's off-putting, it's confusing, and I don't trust her. But the other one I trust and I like already.
Well, the feminine woman, when you look to her, she has a warm and inviting aura about her. Her presence is warm and inviting. She wants you to approach her and speak with her. And the other woman, she is, by her style, by her choices in dress, and even by her posture, she's saying, stay away.
Yep.
Stay away from me. I don't want to talk to you.
If a man, though, were wearing those same clothes and that same stance and that same face, we would, wow, he is so handsome. He's so protective of her. He loves her so much. We would say all these positive things about a man in that same situation.
Exactly. And for men, I find that the more masculine I am, the more that I have confidence and the more that I recognize my own value, the more approachable that I am. People are more interested in talking to me, more interested in asking for advice, and they find it easier to be around me,
Yeah.
And I was never
authentic, I think. What's that?
I was never a feminine man, of course, but
no.
But just going from average to as I getting closer to 40 and finally, really coming into my own as a man, men bloom a lot later than women.
Yes.
As I come into my own as a man, I get a lot more attention from everyone. It's a lot easier to, I can walk into a group of people talking and immediately I've entered that group and I'm in part of the conversation. These type of things are because I'm fulfilling my natural role. I'm not trying to, what we're rejecting about that other woman is the unnaturalness of her look. Yeah. Not her look, it's the unnaturalness of her looking like that.
And in response to that, it is why transgenderism and people who are transgender are off-putting. It is very confusing. And I actually have worked with transgendered. I have a heart for them as a counselor. I've met many, many individuals with this problem. And what's off-putting is I don't know who you are, because I could see you're a man dressed as a woman, and that's scary to me. And now society is telling us to deny all of those natural feelings and instincts.
Well, part of it is that we as people, throughout thousands and thousands of years of history, we look for deception, and we don't know why someone's being deceptive, but we immediately don't trust any form of deception. Right. Deceptions and lies, they just hit us the wrong way, and we I don't know what it is, but there's something about that person I can't trust. Well, when they're fronting as a different sex than they actually are, there couldn't be a more obvious attempt at deception. And that just strikes us the wrong way. And we obviously are going to lack in trust for those people. And there's nothing that can be done about that. That can't be trained out because that's directly at a biological level. And again, it's also part of the natural law.
Yeah.
The natural law is
so true.
It goes back. Doesn't matter if you're Christian or an atheist or what religion you are. Natural law predates all of this. It's the law of the original people, you know, the law of nature itself. And when we break that law, that, like I said before, there's consequences. We try to pretend we're something we're not, there will be consequences. It's not other people that are creating those. That's just the law. It's the way it is.
You know, when you just said that, it made me think of a wolf in sheep's clothing, because a wolf I consider masculine and a fierce animal. Okay, so men are more fierce and masculine and powerful, but yet this energy is coming out of him. He can't help it. It's his innate energy. It's who he is. And he's covering up in sheep's clothing, which is feminine and soft and frilly, and there's nothing scarier.
Well, we see in professional sports, there's been a bunch of transgender athletes.
Oh, it's so unfair.
They're seriously injuring female athletes in combat sports.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I cannot believe we are so dumb as a society.
If they allow this to continue, I think in 1 or 2 more Olympics, there won't be any actual women in the Olympics.
This is the worst thing that has happened to women ever. We talk about invalidating women, or putting Bruce Jenner on the cover of Vanity Fair as a Woman of the Year. I mean, what feminists? Feminism. Womanhood. You've actually given womanhood to a man.
Yeah.
How is that any good for women? I mean,
the quote was that some people said was, "Men are so good at everything, we're even better at being women," as a joke, as a joke.
Totally true. Oh, and,
yeah. The thing is that if men and women, instead of, because it's all about competition, if men and women are competing, there will always be, if it's a physical competition, women will always be at a disadvantage. But we shouldn't be competing. We should be cooperating with each other.
Right.
And to some degree, transgenderism puts this in a more clear light. Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of women, this issue, because this is a very tiny percentage of the population, and
yes, very tiny,
very public. The issue itself is public, and I think a lot of women are starting to wake up to the real differences between masculinity and femininity over this. This is helping them. Also, their general sense of dissatisfaction, if they don't really live an authentic life, is also causing women to rethink things and open them up to the kind of message that you and I are teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. Thank you, Noah. One more photo, well, or actually 2. It's the, I think it's a very, I would say bohemian. Forgive me if I'm wrong. She's got sort of very long dark hair, and an Indian sort of long dress. And she's sitting very comfortably. You see that one on sort of a, yeah. And that's just another different kind of beauty. And I actually wanted to find an African woman. They have the most beautiful clothing. And so there's a lot of people, and because I talk to a lot of African American women, a lot of different race women all over the world. In fact, this morning I was I'm teaching a class to a Japanese woman who lives in South Korea, a woman from Uganda, and get this, a woman from Denmark, a white woman with blue eyes, blonde hair, who converted to Muslimism because of her Lebanese husband, very happily married, by the way. So Denmark, Uganda, South Korea, and then a woman from Connecticut in the U.S., all on my class, learning Fascinating Womanhood. All with the same desire to be more feminine, loving, happy women. It's amazing. So anyway, if we had more time, I would have had another photo of an African woman there. But here is this woman. I don't know where she's from. She's a little bit darker skin, longer, darker hair, and a more bohemian sort of hippie-ish outfit. I don't know. And a different kind of a beauty than the one next to it, which is the blonde-haired woman with the black top and the pink skirt. which is just this chic, classic, romantic beauty too, but in a more modern way, in a younger girl. And then the last photo is the blonde girl with the jeans, the ripped jeans, and the shirt that's a little tight for my liking. However, she's extremely feminine, and she's wearing, ripped jeans. And I just wanted to say this to the younger women. It's okay to dress like that. She's extremely feminine woman. She's carrying a bag. The way she's moving her shoulders and the way her hand is, her hair is long and feminine. There's nothing not feminine about that. So it's not about not wearing jeans, because a lot of people think that when we teach femininity, can't wear jeans again. But I want to tell you something though. I stopped wearing jeans when I started this transition for myself in 2007. For about 5 years, I barely wore pants. I felt more feminine in skirts and dresses, and I wanted to have that feeling every day. So, but for you, you have to figure out what it is for you. It might be jeans every day.
Yeah. And I think the key is, and I say this for men, so some people say, if you're a man, you can never wear pink. Well, okay, you can. What you have to do is you have to balance things out. So if you're wearing jeans, you're going to have to be more conscious of how you are moving and what you wear on your upper clothes and what maybe your accessories are, so that you continue to look feminine. The problem with some of the pictures of the very masculine looking women is that everything they're wearing is masculine.
Right.
If they have,
and their manners are masculine.
Yes.
So it's doubly off-putting. Where for me, the reason for wearing more skirts and dresses was because I wanted to move in a more feminine way, and when I wore skirts and dresses, I moved more naturally in a feminine way, and I taught myself that. Because I had been, trained in this corporate environment wearing suits and, more masculine clothing. I was just like head down, straight walking, very deliberate. I was very efficient and I was awesome at my job, but I was totally denying the feminine side of myself. And by the way, I threw that all away and I became the feminine version of that, and I did a lot better.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're one of the few women willing to do that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's disarming to men to come across women who are both beautiful and intelligent.
It actually was interesting in meetings, because it was very, and it was funny because I was in my 30s when this was happening, and I didn't realize the feminine power at the time. And I worked in IT, and I worked with all men, and so here I start coming in pink flowing skirts and a white top, and my hair was always done, but it was like, okay, there she is, the feminine Jen. And it was, my boss even had to make a comment about it. He was sort of off kilter with it. And it was hard. It couldn't look.
Oh, this is new.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was a little offset by it in a good way. It wasn't in a bad way. But I thought, I better tone it down, because in that environment, I didn't want my smarts to be distracted by the feminine energy. So I learned how to do that in the work environment. But it was just, to me, it was like, wow, this is so powerful. And I was not taught this. It's so sad, right?
Well, and also too, the way that we dress gets a reaction. The reaction we get changes our viewpoint of ourselves, and how we feel actually changes our hormonal structure, which then changes our behavior, which changes the reaction we get. So it's a virtuous cycle.
Yeah, I love that.
For a lot of men, I tell them, the first thing I tell them to do is just go start lifting weights, because you're going to get fit. And as you get more fit, people will look at you as if you're more masculine, which will make you behave in a more masculine manner, which will make you get looked at as being more masculine. And you get into this nice virtuous cycle. And it doesn't take very long, and the thing that you want happens. And I think for women, if they have had a difficulty expressing their femininity, going on a period of wearing just dresses for a while will change so much the reflection they get back.
Yes.
It will help
them.
That
was amazing. That was amazing. And that's what's so encouraging too, is the stories I hear every day of women who just started to live these principles over the last few weeks, and suddenly their husband, who they were about ready to leave, and he was an ogre, and they were sure he hated them, is this loving, sweet, tender man, and they're like, it's like, what have I? It's magic. They call it magic, and I'm like, it's just it works that quickly, and it's that easy.
Now, I've read a big chunk, I have to finish it, of the Fascinating Womanhood book. And I'm reading this and I'm going, they know what men want. They know exactly what men want.
We have the secret.
What? How did they figure out exactly what men want so well? Because men actually get to a point where we assume that women just can't figure out what we want. We're going to have to put up with getting less than what we want. And when we realize that, hey, the information is out there, and women, there are women that understand what men want. Now, I say this all the time. I said, women that understand what men want get a tremendous amount of attention, and they don't stay single for very long.
No. We're never a problem.
and exactly the same for
men. I was a divorced woman with 3 children.
Yep, exactly.
Lots of baggage.
And the same for men. When men understand what women want, that will immediately start changing their behaviors. And men who really know what women want and know how to make women happy don't generally tend to be single for very long. So it's because true masculinity and true femininity are very valuable. They are still fairly rare in our society, and so they find each other very quickly. This is something too that I was speaking with someone else about, is that the more masculine I am and the better quality of man that I become, the better quality women are attracted into my world. So when I hear men complaining about low quality women, for me, I don't understand what they're talking about.
Right.
Because those kind of women just aren't in my life. I wouldn't allow them in my life. And if they were, they would probably feel uncomfortable and leave.
Right.
And that creates this big vacuum where good quality women are sucked into my life. Every time I meet a woman, she's usually...
Oh, poor you.
And good quality male friends as well.
Sure, of course. Good quality people, and you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But to that end, I just want to say, you know who wrote the original Fascinating Womanhood booklets? Do you see them back here on my shelf? Written in 1922 by a group of men. So they gave the secret away in these original pamphlets, which Helen wrote her book based on those. But you can't really read it. It's so hard to read how they talked in 1922. It's very funny.
Yeah,
but anyway, that's where we found the secret.
I read Pilgrim's Progress as a kid, and it was it's a real slog. It's not easy to read, but yeah, it's wonderful too. Not only did it get updated to, I think she wrote her book in the 50s.
63.
And then it's been upgraded again.
Maybe tell
us just a little bit about that before we end.
Oh, okay. Well, Helen Andolin's book, Classic Fascinating Womanhood, it was reprinted so many times, ridiculous, since 1963. Sold almost 6 million copies. Her daughter, Dixie Andolin Forsythe, the eldest daughter, revised it and edited it for the 21st century, and now it looks like this. It's easy to read. This is the one you have, Noah, I think.
Yes.
Right? It might have a different cover.
No, it has the same cover.
It does? Okay. And then there's the new one. This is Dixie's completely new work of art, a sequel to Fascinating Womanhood. And it's Fascinating Womanhood. I know it's hard to read. For the Timeless Woman. And this book is for sale at fascinatingwomanhood.com. You can get it Kindle, EPUB. And it is the most validating book on femininity, womanhood, and feminine nature I've ever read in my whole life, and I've read them all because I've made a study of it. But so that's.
And I think there's some people think that these books are only for married women, but actually, I would suggest that I honestly suggest men purchase them as well, so that they understand what kind of woman they should be looking for. What makes a fascinating woman? If you know what you're looking for, you're more likely to actually find it.
And what we teach women, at least what I teach my single women, is write down the top 50 things that you want in a man and become those things, because you attract what you are.
Yeah, I actually have for my new clients, one of the things I do is I give them a spouse persona worksheet,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
like it.
3 pages in which they say, I must have this. I absolutely don't want that, and this is acceptable in the middle.
Great. Yes.
And
Wonderful.
because we may not find a person with every single quality perfect, because our ideals only exist in our head. You know, Platonic ideals aren't real, and we need, though, to find what is definitely not acceptable. And for many times, it's avoiding the unacceptable. And if you look at what's unacceptable to men and women, it's that breaking natural law. It's the trying to be artificial, trying to be something you're not, trying to live inauthentically, and not having that self knowledge to be who you should be, who you really were meant to be. And I think for a lot of people, they will describe it in many ways, but it can be boiled down to that. And for both men and women, men are looking for real women, women are looking for real men.
And I would say for me, I find women coming to me saying, teach me how to be a woman. That's how bad it is, Noah. I'm sure you've heard the same thing as a coach. And this is why life coaching is so important if you are interested in it. It helps you get from point A to point B. It's the how to, and it's quick.
It's all the things. I tell the men, it's all the things your dad should have told you and never did.
Yes, I feel like
for women, the Fascinating Womanhood book is really all the things your mother should have told you and didn't.
Yeah. Well, or actually, I was told not to be those things as I was being those things naturally, because at 5 years old, I knew that's what I wanted to be. Remember, but no, but that's okay.
It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank
and
you,
I think
Noah.
this is something beneficial for both men and women to know about this. You know, I tell women to go read books like The Way of Men, which is by Jack Donovan, is very much about what makes masculinity in particular. And I tell men to read books like Fascinating Womanhood, because they will understand women. And I think understanding the opposite sex helps us also to understand ourselves. Because when we know what is femininity, we know what we are not. We are masculinity, and that way we can interact better. And we understand better the interplay between, oh, I'm like this because women are like that, and oh, I see how it works together.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps us to understand our role in the world. And if we can find a healthy role for ourselves in the world, we will find happiness and joy.
We will. Just let's end it on that note.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Well said. Well said. Thank you for having me on again.
My pleasure. Where can we find out more information about you and Fascinating Womanhood?
Just fascinatingwomanhoodclasses.com.
Excellent. And I'm also going to post that link below.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to have you on. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.